What is up, you beautiful people? Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm Skratch. Today, guys, we're gonna talk about the 10x event, and we're gonna have a guaranteed event from Void Shards starting tomorrow. Now, we have the Summon Rush. A lot of you guys might need to open some shards if you haven't managed to win a tournament or anything like that, just to make sure you're completing the fusion. And the Summon Rush is gonna start tomorrow as well. Probably, I would expect we're gonna be able to collect 20 fragments from this event. So 5 of them, I would expect them to be at around 1000 to 1500 points. That's if Platinum decides to don't be very nice. And the rest of the 15 fragments, most probably they will be at around 3500 to 4000 points, which means that we need to open around 8 sacreds if we want to collect all 20 fragments. And usually they're trying to give us bad 10x events, or they're trying to don't really give us decent summoning events while we have the fusions. This time around, even though I know 10x events are not great, the chances to summon legendaries are still extremely low, guys. 0.5 and 6% respectively from sacreds. And I feel like this time around the 10x champions are amazing if you get lucky enough to pull one of those champions. And for the majority of the people, we do need to open the shards on the Summon Rush to get the fragments. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's not a massive win, but it's better than to have a bad 10x, you know what I mean? So let me quickly start with a guaranteed event from Void Shards. So we're gonna have a guaranteed epic champion, guys. It's gonna be a Void one, and it's nobody else but the new Pythion from the Skinwalkers. This champion is actually pretty interesting. I didn't make a guide on him just yet, but expect to see a guide in the next 1 hour or so on the channel, guys. Make sure to check it out to see if this champion will be awarded 40 Void Shards. So that's how many Void Shards we need to open in order to collect this epic champion. Now, the 10x on the Void is going to be a fairly decent one as well. She was a guaranteed Void legendary before. We're going to talk about Raiho Bone Spear in just a second. So, Pythion, guys, 40 Void Shards. I feel like they're quite a lot of shards for an epic champion. You see, we had a fluctuation of shards every time they've done a guaranteed from Voids. So I think we had one at 25, if I'm not mistaken. We had at 30, we had at 40 before as well. And this time around is going to be at 40 again. He has pretty good base stats for an attack champion. The attack is not crazy high, but fairly decent. And with the A1, attacks one enemy 3 times. Amazing for Giant Slayer, amazing for Fire Knight progression. Each hit, fully booked, will have a 50% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. If the target is under a Hex debuff, each hit also has a 40% chance, 50% if you book him, of applying a debuff spread effect, taking one random debuff from the target and placing it on all enemies. This can work a bit, but honestly is just not that great with the debuff spread unless you have Hex on them, and it's gonna be a random debuff. So if you have a lot of poisons or defense down or attack, you might have it on some other enemies already. So it's better if he's trying to spread the poisons, honestly. With the A2, attacks all enemies 3 times. Now this again is very powerful for the Fire Knight and very powerful for a Giant Slayer tier 6 mastery. Each hit will have a 75% chance of increasing the duration of any Hex debuffs on enemies by 1 turn. If enemies are not under a Hex debuff, each hit will have a 75% chance of placing a Hex debuff for 2 turns. Which is actually pretty good, because if the first hit is gonna go on, you don't have Hex, you're gonna have a chance to land it, and the second hit, when it comes in, will have a chance to increase the duration of the Hex, which is very interesting. This skill will be on a 3-turn cooldown, and I think this can be very powerful for the Hydra if you wanna control the Head of Mischief, but we gotta see how much damage we're actually getting out of the champion. That's why I'm actually gonna do a guide on the champion. We're gonna test him in Clan Boss, we're gonna test him in the Fire Knight and on the Hydra to see what sort of numbers we can get out of the champion, you know. We are getting a 15% more damage from booking him. The passive has an 80% chance, fully booked will be a 100% chance of inflicting damage from 1 poison debuff to enemies under a Hex debuff whenever their allies receive damage from poison debuffs. Now, this sounds like is better on against enemies where there are multiple enemies. So if you're going on the clan boss, for example, it might not proc because there is no other ally to take damage from poisons. So I definitely want to test if this will work on the clan boss. I really think it won't, but we'll see how they coded it. For the Hydra, unfortunately, I think 3 of the heads, if not 4 of them, are immune to poisons. I think 3 of them. So you're not going to be able to deal tons of damage from poisons on Hydra. But there are some specific heads that can be damaged by poisons, and that all around can be beneficial. It will bring you a bit of extra damage, and especially when the heads are decapitated, the poisons are being on every single one of the heads, and that can increase your damage quite a bit. And if he actually smacks pretty good, he's gonna bring in some serious damage. And what I like about the champion is that he has a speed aura for all battles by 18%. Now, if a lot of you guys are looking to make teams, right, like clan boss teams with Demeter, like Midfu or similar teams like that, and you don't have a Fushan, or you don't really have another champion that could potentially deal damage and bring you the speed aura, Akhenaten is Void, and he can actually come in play and do some serious work for you guys in the clan boss, you know. So very curious to see how much damage he's doing. Giant Slayer is actually very powerful, very effective against the clan boss. If the passive will activate there too, we could potentially have a pretty solid epic champion. If we're gonna move over to talk about the 10x champions, now I gotta say, I'm most probably gonna open the Sacreds and Voids that I have, the Sacreds and Ancients, definitely not open the Voids, even though the epic champion sounds tempting. I'm not wasting my mercy for this, you know. So the 10x champion that we have from the Voids, the legendary one is gonna be no one else but Raiho Bonespear. I've already mentioned it. She is an amazing champion, guys. Very powerful for the new Sand Devil's Necropolis dungeon. She was a guaranteed void from 90 voids, if I'm not mistaken. I think the price was 90 voids. She's very powerful. Like, this skill just does so much. I don't think there's any other champion in the game to bring so many debuffs in a single skill on a 3-turn cooldown. Very powerful for clan boss, powerful for the Sand Devil's Necropolis. This cleanse right here on a 3-turn cooldown removes all the debuffs from all allies, then places block debuffs and heals all your team. Is a very powerful skill, guys. And she is one of the few champions in the entire game that has cleanse and block debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown. We have Cardiel, we have Elva, and we have the new fusion champion. Plus, she has this very strong passive. When receiving any debuffs, instantly transfers them to from this champion to the attacker. So used to be a great counter for Kaimars and other champions like that. Now, that is not the meta for Arena, but it can be very beneficial all around. We have attack aura for faction creeps, and the A1 continuous heal, attacks one enemy. Decent base stats. Raiho is definitely a top tier champion in the game. Moving over to the next champions that we have, guys. We have no one else but Brogni on the 10x2. Man, I would definitely love to get myself 1 or 2 more Brognis to make mine to +4. I am using him in Arena with my Cupidus Venus team on a bolster set, and just being able to empower him would be amazing. The A1 has a chance to land HP burn. He is one of a kind in the entire game, guys. No other champion can do what Brogni does. With the A2, attacks all enemies, has a chance of removing a random buff from all enemies, and has a 100% chance of removing 1 random debuff from all allies. Plus, it increases the value of the shield. That's what makes the Infinity Comp teams for Clan Boss possible. Brogni. Without Brogni, those teams would not exist. The A3 places a block debuffs and increase attack on all allies, and places a shield equal to 30% of this champion's max HP. The shield cannot be removed, and it actually blends in the bolster set, which is very powerful. The passive, it reflects damage based on the damage you're receiving when the shield is up. So a lot of the times, you're gonna see nukers in Arena killing themselves whenever you have a shield on. Very powerful, plus we have a resistance aura for Doom Tower battles, and he has some insane stats, like 90 base resistance is just crazy. Moving over to the next 10x champion that we have on, guys. My god, Duchess Lily 2. I have 2 of them, one empowered at +2, and I would love 2 more Duchesses, 100%. she's just such a beast. My opinion, she's still, I think, the number one champion in the game if you're just taking in consideration at how powerful she is, you know. She's just such a massive carry in PvE content, and for Arena, she is an absolute beast. The A1 attacks one enemy 2 times, places a shield on the ally with the lowest HP. We have block debuffs, increase attack, and perfect veil on a 4-turn cooldown. These guys is actually bringing in so much damage reduction. Then we have the revive on a 4-turn cooldown, all dead allies with 70% HP, veil, and continuous heal. We have a speed aura for all battles, and decreases the damage taken by all allies from AoE attacks by 25%. 15 from bosses, a very solid passive, very crazy stats on the champion. The next champion that we have on the 10x, guys, is gonna be no one else but Elva. So she was a guaranteed as well. She was a pretty pricey one for 20 sacreds. And with the A1, she places a continuous heal on the ally with the lowest HP. Then we have cleanse, block debuffs, and increased speed. This is a very powerful skill. And we have a revive with increased defense, increased attack, 50% turn meter, 40% HP on one ally on a 3-turn cooldown. Then we have her passive, heals each ally by 10% of their max HP at the start of their turn. And perfect veil on the ally with the lowest HP, speed aura for all battles. Another beast of a champion. So if you guys didn't got the idea, the theme is block debuffs. Talking about that and talking about the guaranteed void epic champion. So hear me out. We have a 10x on Maneater, guys. This is something that doesn't happen very often. Maneater is still one of the GOATs for clan boss, and yes, just having a couple of Maneaters will completely change your clan boss team if you're not running a Demita team already. With the A1, he has a chance to land decreased attack on all enemies if the attack is critical. Very powerful. The A2 steals the turn meter, fully depletes the turn meter from the enemy. Very, very powerful on Spider, on Fire Knight, on many areas in the game, and that's on a 3-turn cooldown. The A3 on a 5-turn cooldown, my bad, places unkillable and block debuffs on all allies. Very, very solid. And we have a HP aura for dungeons by 33%. Then, of course, we have no one else but Massalia Mage on the 10x as well, guys. He's still a pretty interesting champion, don't get me wrong. The A1 attacks one enemy, decreases the speed. Then we have increased crit rate, increased defense, and block debuffs on all allies. And this is on a 3-turn cooldown. Very powerful to use with Seer if you don't have any other champion. He's still great for quite a few areas in the game. Like, honestly, he's just not a bad champion. And the A3 removes all debuffs from all allies, then heals all allies by 10% of this champion's max HP. This will be on a 4-turn cooldown. Still a strong champion after all this time. Then the next champion that we have on the 10x, Sepulture Sentinel. Very powerful as well. Seems like I clicked on the wrong faction there. Where is she hiding? She has a very unique passive. With the A1, she has a chance to land decreased attack, great for clan boss. Then we have increased defense and block debuffs on a 4-turn cooldown. You can make her run on a 4-to-3 ratio for clan boss, and she's gonna be very, very powerful. With the passive, she has a 50% chance of completely blocking incoming damage when an ally is attacked. Occurs once per turn, and will only block the damage for the target ally if multiple allies are attacked at the same time. It can be such a lifesaver for a stun target or crazy things like this in the clan boss. And we have a defense aura for all battles. The last champion that we have on this 10x, guys, is gonna be no one else but Quarkan the Crowned. Another awesome champion as well, actually. Pretty solid for the Sand Devil's Necropolis, if I'm not mistaken. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of increasing the duration of a random buff, and heals all allies by 15% of their max HP, places a shield equal to 15% of their max HP on all allies for 2 turns, and places a perfect veil and increased attack buff for 2 turns on allies whose attack is higher than their defense, so basically on attack nukers mainly, and a block debuffs and increased defense on the allies whose defense is higher than their attack. On defense nukers, mainly support champions and tanks, you know. So this is the 10x. Yes, it's pretty spicy to get the epic champion for 40 void shards. If you have the shards available, and considering that we have the 10x Maneater, you might get lucky and pull the Maneater. And considering that we do need to open some shards for the fusion, I feel like we are getting fairly decent champions on the event. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. What do you think about the epic that's being guaranteed? Appreciate all of you watching, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.